Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani and today it's time for a book haul. It's been a while since my last book haul because actually in August I didn't buy any books, but September and October I did buy quite a few. So this whole stack here is all my new books. So I'm going to talk about them, starting with the ones that I have already read. The first one is All These Bodies by Kendara Blake. I bought this on the pre-order because I was really interested about the concept of this, and I read it really soon and really quickly. This is a YA kind of thriller mystery thing, paranormal. There's quite a few things going on here, but it's exactly the type of book that I like because it doesn't give you all the answers, it doesn't explain everything, and you're kind of left thinking, what's really happening behind the whole story. So this story happens in the 50s and it's told through the perspective of a boy who is the son of the detective, if I'm not getting it wrong. But there are a bunch of crimes happening in the region where he lives, in the states around where he lives. I forgot which state. This story is in Minnesota. So finally in his town, that same crime happens in which this whole family is found dead with their blood drained from them. And in this case, in this crime, they find this girl covered in blood at the scene of the crime. So they take her to jail and they start to question her about it, but she will only tell this boy, the main character here, who's telling the story. She says that she's only going to tell him what really happened. And then it's basically just their conversation and them trying to investigate this crime while weird stuff keeps happening. And it was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. I'm not going to talk about my thoughts so much here. I did enjoy it, but I'll leave that to the wrap up. The next book that I have already read is Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Kwok. This was an arc that was sent to me by HarperCollins. Thank you so much for sending this. This is a YA contemporary, which is very different from what I usually read. This tells the story of Eliza. She wants to be editor-in-chief in her school newspaper, but they select this other boy who is like the popular jock kind of character that she hates, and they start to get to know each other more and like each other's company. And there's a lot of discussion here about feminism and about her feelings for that boy, and if that means that she's not being a feminist because of the way that she feels about this, in her head, awful person. So yeah, already read this. I'm going to leave something for the wrap up, but it was hauled in September. Then we have one that I finished just yesterday, and that is A Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. This is the first Agatha Christie ever published, the first Hercule Poirot story that she ever wrote. He's her detective that he appears in a bunch of her stories, and I have a goal in my life to read all of her books, and I want to read them in order. I've read quite a few in different orders, but I want to start with the first one and read everything in order. And I started with this one and it was really good. And this one, like I said, is the first time we meet Poirot, but he's already an established detective, and he goes to this mansion called Styles to investigate death that occurred there that people believe to be a murder, and it's a lot of fun. Then we have another YA mystery, and that is Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the, what's the name of the series? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I think that's it. The first book is called The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and this is the second one. And I loved it. As much as the first one, 5 stars. I'm again talking about my feelings about the book, but this is about, the first one is about Pip. She is a senior, or she's in high school, and she has to do this project at school. She can choose whatever topic she wants, and she decides to investigate a murder that happened in the past in her city, in which a girl was murdered, and they blamed her then boyfriend, who committed suicide at the time. But she doesn't believe that that's what happened, so she starts to investigate that. And in this one, she gets a new type of thing, crime investigation going on here. And it was awesome, and it was really nice to see how the story from the first one continued here as well. So really good. And this is the last one that I read from all of the list, so I'm gonna stop talking about my feelings about the books and just say what they are about. But yeah, I bought this one and I bought the next one in the series, As Good as That, because I really love the series and I want to finish it soon. So I don't know where the story goes from here, what is going to happen in the third book, but this is the final book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. Then I also bought Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Skyward series, Skyward trilogy. No, it's not going to be a trilogy. The third book's coming out in November, the end of November, but I think there's going to be a fourth book and final one. Not sure about that, but I think it's 4 books. I read Skyward in October, I'm reading Starsight in November, so I can finally read Cytonic in December. It comes out in the end of the month, like I said, but I'm not going to get it. I bought the UK edition, so I'm not going to get it before December. If I do get it in December, hopefully, but then I'm going to read Cytonic in December. But this is the second book in the series. So this is a YA sci-fi that tells the story of Spencer. She wants to be a pilot, a starship pilot, but her father was branded a coward when he was a pilot himself, and that kind of sticks to her and to her family, so it makes it very hard for her to be a pilot in the society, but she tries to follow her dreams, and we follow Spencer while she's training to be a pilot in the first book. And in this one I'm like on chapter 3, and I'm also enjoying it a lot. The first one is complete 5 stars. I just loved it so much. I love Brandon Sanderson's writing, and I loved how he wrote YA sci-fi because it's very different from what I usually read from him. I'm very excited to read Starsight and Cytonic next. Another book that I bought in the pre-order was Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. This is an adult thriller that happens in a school, in a college, where they're doing a study on psychopaths. So they have this group of, I think, 6 students who are clinically diagnosed as psychopaths, and the psychology professor is doing a study on them. And we follow the students while they're, I don't know, probably killing people. We'll see. This is on my TBR to read in November, and I'm really excited to get to it. It sounds very intriguing and different from what I usually read, so we'll see how that goes. Next I have a manga, which is Soul Eater Volume 1. This was mostly my husband's choosing at the bookstore. I don't know much about it, and he tried to explain to me a bunch of times, and I don't get it. But I think it's about this, there's this girl who has a boy as a weapon, and she kills people, and I don't remember. It's a manga. I'm going to read it. I'm curious about reading it. It's not very current. Like, there's a lot of very overly sexualized women in this book, but I'm going to put that behind me and see if the story is still fun, and if I would be interested in reading the rest. These editions are so pretty, so I'm really hopeful that we both enjoy this a lot so we can have the whole collection in our bookshelves. Another book that I bought in the pre-order was Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. I hope that I'm saying that right. This is a YA sci-fi fantasy, kind of that realm that is inspired by Chinese mythology, if I'm not wrong, and it's about these giant robots who are piloted by men, but then the main character also wants to pilot one of the robots, I think. And in the society, all of the women then should die when they are put in that position. I don't remember, but it's said to be a mix of Handmaid's Tale and Pacific Rim, so I'm very, very curious about it, and everyone is loving this book, so I really hope I can read it soon and see if I love it as well. Now another YA mystery thriller is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I got this one in an All Crate box, and I really love this cover. People didn't like it so much because it's supposed to be a dark, mysterious book, and Our Crate made it right, but I think it looks pretty. I'm not exactly sure what the plot is about because I just saw the vibes of it and I thought it was very interesting. It's a dark academia kind of thing in which this girl goes back to school after 1 year that her girlfriend was killed, and I think other crime starts to happen, and then she's going to investigate that. I don't know. It's a mystery thriller. I'm very, very curious, and I've heard awesome things about it. Now, this next book was 100% a cover buy. It is Sky Hunter by Mary Lou. This is the most beautiful cover and edition I've ever seen of like a normal book that you can buy at the bookstore. It has sprayed edges that says Sky Hunter here, but the naked book is gorgeous. It's completely beautiful, and I want to have a memory card filled. I don't remember where I wasn't showing you this book, but it is gorgeous and I love it, and I want to have all of the ones in the series, so I bought the first one and I hope to read it very soon. So if I love it, I'll get the second one because it is as beautiful as this one, so really excited for this. But the story of this book, I believe it's a YA sci-fi with a little bit of fantasy as well. I've heard people saying that it's kind of like zombies inspired, but there's also ghosts, but it is in a different world, so I don't know. They're like war beasts. There's a lot going on in this book, and I'm really curious. When I read it, I'll tell you more about it, because right now I'm just very confused. I'm just imagining huge creatures that are killing everyone. I don't know if that's what it is. Then I bought the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This has been making the rounds of BookTube, apparently TikTok, and everywhere. So I really wanted to get the book in this original edition because Tor is publishing it next year. This is a self-published book. I wanted to get the original cover because I don't like the one that Tor is releasing. This is much prettier, and I'm really curious to read it, and I want to support the author if this book is really good, and then I can buy the other ones because it is a series. I can buy the other ones and the new covers as well. But this is an adult fantasy about, I think it's like Dark Academia. They're in a magic school, and I think there are like 6 people, but then only 5 can stay until the end, or only 1 can stay until the end. I think 5. I don't know much more about this, but it's a magic school with competition, and it sounds really fun. And last but definitely not least, I bought Amari and the Night Brothers by Bibi Alston. This is a middle grade fantasy about this girl who finds, I don't remember if her brother dies, but I think she finds something in his closet that he was supposed to go to this magic school, and there's also a competition, so like a middle grade version of the Atlas 6. I'm not sure if there is a competition here, but it is about her discovering that magic is real and that there is a magical world that she goes to, and this has also been loved by a lot of people, and it kind of gives me the vibes of Nevermore, so I'm really hopeful that I will love this as well. That's it for this book haul. Let me know if you read any of these books and which ones you think I would love more. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me.